So we're going to have a conversation about governance, match fixing, and manipulation in sports. It is huge. My gentlemen, please help me get one more chair here, because I've got 3 strong panelists with my capable moderator. So I need one more of my chair on the panel to make it set. So gentlemen, ushers, please help me get one more chair and one more table here. Yeah. Right.
Join you on the stage.
So my moderator has already joined me on the stage. But yes, that's the microphone. Let's have that conversation before we start. So joining me to moderate this session is Beverley, all the way from Nigeria.
All the way.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Just 50 minutes, not that far. Not that far.
Yeah, Nigeria and Ghana is like, yeah, even
Chalet.
though there are countries between us, it's like you're close, it's like you're the next one around there.
You're our neighbors now. No jollof rice arguments today.
Neighbor, no jollof,
no jollof rice arguments. Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Good to see you too.
This is an important conversation.
This is so important. I really want people's ears to be pricked up for this conversation, because this affects all of us in one way or the other. Match fixing, manipulation, distorting of games, cheating, sports betting even. So it's a very interesting conversation. I hope we can really get into the nitty-gritty.
Because at the end of the day, if the integrity of the sports it's in jeopardy, nobody really wants to sit around it. Nobody really wants to, the corporate world doesn't want to invest. Nobody wants to associate themselves with something that has, no credibility or integrity.
That is true as far as bringing investment into our continent. But the truth is, until we begin to take sports more seriously, until the regulators, governing bodies address these issues, we will continue to find match fixing going on. We need data. There's been a lot of conversations today about data. Do we have enough data on match fixing? Do we know which referees are getting brown envelopes? It's happening. These things are happening, but there's no records. Whereas abroad, you see stories. If you Google now match fixing, just go to Google and Google match fixing, you will see tons of stories come up, but none from Africa, all from Europe. Does that mean it's not happening here? Perhaps. I don't think so. It's happening.
Anyway, let's have the conversation then. So I'll leave it to you.
Okay.
Who are coming on your panel? And take it away.
Okay, so I'm so excited to be here. Can I please invite Yacine? Yacine is from one of the sponsors. Opta, of course. And then, of course, we have our GFA in the house, Mr. Prosper. Please, I want to invite you up to the stage. The General Secretary, also known as GS. And then someone that I was opportune to catch a ride from the airport with yesterday, Mr. Frisco, who is representing the Zambian League. Hello, sir. Good to meet you. Please take a seat. Take a seat. So we have our GS, our dear GS. We have Yacine, data. And then we also have Mr. Frisco from Zambia all the way. So it's wonderful to have you all here today to discuss a very topical issue. Like I said, match fixing, manipulation, we all know it's going on, but perhaps we're not talking about it enough. So I'd like to open up the conversation by inviting you, GS. Do you mind if I call you GS? I should? Oh, I shouldn't. Okay. So GS, I think for the benefit of the audience, let's just be sure. I don't want anyone to be to misconstrue what it means. Can you just explain in a nutshell what is match fixing and manipulation? Thank you. Let me keep it. Okay. All right.
Thank you very much. I think that, and to put it simply, match fixing is anything you do apart from operating within the rules of engagement and fair play to give a score line or influence the outcome of a match. Basically, that's match fixing. In terms of the regulations, our regulations are on the same footing as the FIFA one. And if you look at the provision, it's elaborate. And when drafters draft that way, it means that they want to open the net and ensure that nobody finds a way out of it. And so it talks about, first of all, it talks about the individual's concern. So you are talking about the ethics code, you are talking about also the disciplinary code. It makes sure that it's provided in both. And so, and there's a reason for that I'll explain later. But it talks about any club, any player, any official, any participant. And when they use participant, that's very elaborative because it then encompasses everyone who plays part of a game. So that's inclusive in the ball boy, because the ball boy is a participant of a football match. The referees, everybody at the game. If any of them instigates, commands, solicits, procures, in any manner, purposefully aids, facilitates, encourages, promotes. So all those words tells you that they are covering every ground. So you can't say that I saw them exchanging something and I didn't do anything, because part of the provision also talks about acts and omission. So you can, by omission, manipulate a match. So if your role is the match commissioner and you see something going on between one team and the referee, and then you stay aloof and you pretend not to have seen it, you are involved in match fixing, because it's not only the people who exchange the envelope. Those who see it and say nothing, they are also part of it. So like I said, the FIFA definition and our definition encompasses all these things. And it goes on to ensure that all the boundaries are kept open, so that it's very difficult for people to, once you are caught, for you to get away with it. And getting away with it, obviously the punishments are there, and so people will find technical means to get away with it, procedural means to get away with it. And so the rules are saying that the disciplinary committee can handle it, and then the ethics committee can handle it. I've heard people argue that if you take it to the disciplinary committee and so because of that, there's a procedural flaw to it. There's none, because the rules permit both bodies, they can handle it. And so, okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that intro. So I hope it's all clear to us so far what match fixing is. At least we all have a basic idea what it is. Now, Yacine, before I come to you, because I have technologically related questions for you, I want to address my next question to you, Frisco, because you work with the Zambia League. And I think the question I have for you is, I don't know whether you've seen this or whether it's been reported in your jurisdiction, but what do you think is the main reason why match fixing exists? Why does it exist? What is the incentive? Of course, we know it's financial, but beyond finance, what is the incentive for people to be involved in something so, unethical?
Great. I think simply it all goes down to greed. We're operating in a space that I think over time, whose governance structures have improved. So much so that I think when you look back from the time federations were, how can I put it, forced to adopt FIFA statutes for themselves, I think the governance mechanisms that have been put in place that, like GS is saying, even an act of omission is frowned upon. It is a serious, I think, occurrence if you witness something that goes against the spirit of fair play and do not bring it to address it. It is really frowned upon. Why does it exist? I think, like I said, it is really down to greed, wanting to have everything. But again, when you try to look at the disproportionate investment in football, especially when you look at Africa, it becomes a rife field for people to exploit with their greed. Yeah, I think.
Thank you so much for that. Now, Yacine, I want to come to you. And I recall Daniel said something during his session about what's the currency of football. I love that. The currency is goals. And then to link to you, Frisco, saying that people, it's greed. So your success in football is tied to your goals, no pun intended. So if this is a real and present issue, and I would really love for you to speak to what happens in other jurisdictions, because I know Daniel said Opta is in, I think, 200 countries or something. You know, how do you leverage technology to help detect, if this is even possible, to detect instances of match fixing? And do you have any case studies you can share from other countries that you work with, and other clubs and academies in other countries you work with? Thank you.
So for me, there is two main cases of match fixing at the moment. And it's not specific to Africa. Fortunately, it's worldwide, and the issue is not happening only in the region, but it's happening everywhere there is a competition. It's not only about football, it's about any sports. The first one is the sporting result, because you can manipulate a result to get promotion, to win a competition, to avoid to being relegated, and it can happen for team sports and individual sports. And also there is the other factors at the moment, which is more financial. It's about the betting. In the betting industry, years ago we could just bet on who's going to win the next match. And at this extent it was difficult to manipulate the whole match, because there is 22 players, coaches, substitutes, referees. And to manipulate a match, you need to act on a lot of people, let's say. Now with the play-by-play betting, you can bet on who's going to get the next yellow card, who's going to get the next throw-in or free kick. And with that split of decisions, even if at the end of the match you don't interact with the final result, you can still win bet by manipulating who's going to get the next key action. We know that there is a lot of small, I will take two examples. The first one is in tennis, for example. Tennis, after the 200 positions, it's very difficult to survive, because people can still bet on your competition, but you don't get any prize money or very limited. So all the players are facing issues with money at the end of the month, and people that are cheating knows that. So they come to them, say, let the next point, let the next set. And if you get this, we will give you money. And there is a lot of cases in tennis, especially on the lower tier of professional tennis. And people think that it's only about that, but yesterday we discussed about another case with a Brazilian player who's actually playing in the English Premier League, Lucas Paqueta, which is one of the best talent in the world, but he's facing a ban for life based on manipulation. And as I said, he didn't score own goals. He didn't make his team lose. But every time he was taking a yellow card in a weird situation, let's say. And at the time where he was taking a yellow card, friends and family were putting money on it. So they were putting maybe 100 or 200,000 US dollars when he was supposed to take a yellow card. And they were maybe naive to think that this will pass under the radar, but he didn't. So now he's facing justice, and maybe he will never play football ever just because of that. And it comes to the end of your question that I'm not here to promote the company, but it's data. The thing is, if you see something weird happening, own goal from a keeper, or yellow card, or something very weird, but the thing is, there is no link between promotion, relegation, or you can analyze the betting market and there is no big bet put on it, it's because the player is made a mistake. Usually it's the case. But what people don't know is that every time you put money on a bet, there is like a, let's say, a big market that knows that every single action, how much was bet on this action, let's say. And there is traders, the same as Wall Street, but for the betting. And every time they see a weird action and they see like a peak of investment on the betting, they signal a red alert. And the company like us, we work with more than 100 of leagues and federations and institutions on integrity. We are not the police. So if tomorrow we work with our friend Prosper for Ghana, we will not come say, you need to blame this guy, you need to suspend this coach. We will say, we will send reports with green, orange, red signals, and the disciplinary office from the GFA will take decisions. But we can just guide them through the data that we have and through the videos and through this kind of thing. So coming back to your answers, either we help federations before the problem happens, so we cover the whole league with integrity, or sometimes when they have a suspicion, they come to us and say, we might want to investigate on those players, this league and this federation. And that happened with a lot of leagues in the past, and we came with a report saying yes or no, like these kind of things happen.
Okay, Yacine, that was pretty mind-blowing. I don't know if you all caught that. The level of match fixing and manipulation is becoming more complex. And I love how you highlighted that athletes, footballers, tennis players, they also have a role to play to not let themselves be used, okay? That means goalies, strikers, whoever you are, even the ball, whoever you are on that field, off the field too, you also have a duty, and I believe GS said that too, not to let yourself be used. So again, I think that now leads me quite nicely to GS. What advice would you give? Because I believe there are young athletes in the house today. Are there athletes in the house today? Any? Put your hands up. Any athletes today? Only one? Okay, some at the back. So if you're speaking to them, addressing them directly, what advice would you give them? They've heard it all. You can match fix on yellow cards. I didn't even know that. And I'm supposed to be in sports governance. You can match fix on all sorts of intricate details, not just on scoring goals. So what advice would you give to the athletes in the house? Thank you.
I think it starts from reading and knowing the rules. So let me take one that can resonate with many people. For instance, players who are professionals have signed contracts with their teams. We have an off-season. Players come on holidays. We all encourage players to go back to their community, and we see it as a fun game when they go to play in their community football. It is wrong. Guess what? When you get injured, there will be a clause in your contract which says that that injury will be on you, or it will be deducted from your earnings to repair that injury. Because you are not supposed to play during the off-season. You are not supposed to play for any other club apart from the club you've signed for. This is in the contracts. But guess what? Players go and play all kinds of football with other teams. So it starts from reading and learning. And that's why when players are going to play for national teams, the national teams write to the clubs for permission. So if you are playing at your back door, do you have permission to play? Who gave you that permission? You see, when it comes to match manipulation and match fixing, it's the same. Players must make it a point to read and to understand. And that's why we work with the PFAG to educate the players. Because we are talking about big money. And where there is big money, there will be syndicates. So there are syndicates all over the world trying to call players, call team officials, call people to influence them to do things that will benefit them. So players are called to give a certain scoreline, or like he said, yellow cards, red cards, throw-ins, own goals, and things like that, because now we have sports betting. Like he said, previously it's just about who wins. So you don't care about the scoreline. So the probability of manipulating and match fixing was very low. Now for betting, and I'm talking about illegal betting. So we are not saying betting is not good. There's legal betting and illegal betting. So first of all, for every participant of the game, you are not supposed to bet, and the immediate family, though they can bet, for me, my advice is that they shouldn't bet on any game you are playing in, because they can easily put you into trouble. Guess what? If your brother goes to bet, and it is found out that he's betting that you will score the first goal, or you will concede the first goal, and indeed you concede the first goal, there is a probability that you'll be held liable for match fixing. And when it comes to match fixing, the standard of proof is between the two proofs that we have. For civil cases, we have the balance of probability, and then for criminal, we have the beyond reasonable doubt. CAS has put the proof in between, what they call the comfortable, it's a reasonability between the two. So it's not the balance, it's slightly more than the balance, but it's not beyond reasonable doubt. It is not. And so when people come to fix such committees and they said, you have to prove beyond reasonable, no. Once there's reasonability that a brother of you is betting on the fact that you consider a own goal, the probability is that if you consider a funny own goal, you are doing it for the benefit of the family. First of all, players are not supposed to bet on any game, and I've taken time to explain this. People think that if I'm playing the Premier League in Ghana, then I can bet, as a player, I can bet on the English Premier League. No. The rule says that you are not supposed to be involved in betting on any game at all. I think that is very clear. So as a participant, you are not supposed to bet at all. I know, because I've asked players and they say, oh, me, I play in the Premier League in Ghana, so I can bet in the Nigerian League. No, you cannot. The same for referees, the same for match commissioners, the same for me. Anybody involved with the Ghana Football Association, if you're acting as a member of the committee, you are a secretary at the FA, you are not supposed to be involved in betting at all. And by extension, please, let your family not bet on anything you are doing, because the likelihood that you will be held liable, I'm repeating it because it's very important, and we've seen it in the English Premier League, where players' family will bet on something and the player is held liable. Because we all are family members, and we know that mostly, let's say it's like insider trading. Because you know what your brother is capable of and what he may do. Maybe you've discussed something. The reasonable man on the street will necessarily believe that your brother is doing it for you. So don't put your brother's career into dispute. Again, the advice I will give to players is that the rules, the provision, there's one which gives a duty to report. So there are two key duties for players. The duty not to be involved in, and then the second one is the duty to report. So somebody has called you that you should manipulate a match, and he will give you some money. Immediately you have to report to your club and the football association. The same, if you hear your colleague players discussing something like this, again, you have a duty to report. That is the only way you can be exonerated when the matter then becomes a full-blown investigation. And when it comes, I can cite the example of Ashgood. There was a call to the FA to me that I know I have some information. I know one of the players, I'm a family member, I'm the father. We want him to come and give evidence. so that he will be free. Guess what? Somebody told them that, oh, our lawyer can fight. So the person didn't come forward. Meanwhile, maybe he is the small fish in the whole scenario. When it comes to punishment, all of you will be punished. Because, like I read the rule, anybody who partakes in it, and you can partake in it in so many ways. So many ways. Like I said, if somebody talks to you or you instigate, indeed, if you look at the evidence from the report and from the decision is out, so that's why I can talk about it. There were players who the opponent was telling them that, oh, won't you release the ball to me because they finished with your leaders already. And he is innocent. He was just aloof and playing his football. And said, oh, you finished, then get the pass, go and score. You see? So, as a person taking part of the manipulation or not, you have. Because once they told you your leaders, and players, when it comes to committee, disciplinary committee or ethics, when you are before a committee, and I've been a disciplinary committee chairman before, players come and cry. Forget what they say on radio. People will be interviewed on radio, they will say all sorts of things and be macho about things. When they come before the committee, one question, they will start crying. Because when you face a committee and the question is asked, then you see that you've been stupid. Guess this player who was told that your leaders have accepted the deal already, and then he also gave in. When you ask him the question, he would not then go back and know that he's been stupid. Because if he had thought of it a bit, he will notice that if your leadership have agreed to it, they would have told you. And they've not told you anything, you are playing the football. Within the match, and somebody is changing your mind. Your role is to play the match within the rules fairly. And when it comes to match fixing and the way the syndicates work, it can happen to anyone. Don't say you are bigger than it. The influence they have and the kind of money they will mention to you. So it can happen to anyone. They call anybody and they can manipulate the big players, whatever level of money you have already, they can offer more just for you to manipulate. And like he said, if betting trends show that everybody is betting for 2-1, it means something fishy is going on.
If I may jump in,
Please,
it's that I think that Prosper is one of the top management guys in Africa that knows the danger of match manipulation. But the good thing is that there is a number of companies, number of institutions that can provide federations, leagues, and organizations integrity workshops. We can do it, other companies can do it. The thing is, having maybe a meeting with all the clubs, all the referees, all the match commissioners and any people involved before the competition to remind the rules. GPA tour, the golf tour, every time before competition they have to sign a document with all the match fixing things to make sure that they don't forget.
Right.
They don't have any bad memory and then they can do something that so this is something that is very important, and match manipulation is one thing, betting is another thing, and betting is growing very rapidly in Africa, and these kind of things will happen more and more. And another thing is, you think that they come with big money every time. The first time they can catch you with big money. The second time they won't give you any money. They will just say, we have the proof that first time you did the match fixing, so if you continue, we don't say anything. If you stop, we go back to see your club and the GFA, and we can capture like that.
Terrible.
And the thing is, GFA, any federation, they prefer you come back to them, say, I did the mistake once, but someone is trying to get me. But no, they are doing it once, 5 times, 10 times, and at the end, you're in this kind of circle that you cannot
get out of.
Exactly.
You're
So
trapped.
that's the true danger, and this kind of integrity workshops are the good reminder for the key decision makers and the players, referees, any other people involved in this market that things can be done and things can be avoided, let's say.
Thank you, Yacine. I wanted to bring you in, actually, Frisco. Again, just to piggyback on the conversations around what can stakeholders do to stem the tide. I don't know what the betting scene is like in Zambia. Where I come from in Nigeria, it's huge. Every other billboard has, I don't know, JJ Okocha promoting betting, different, so we can't talk about match fixing without sports betting. And we're not saying sports betting is wrong, just as GS said, but what do you think stakeholders like yourself, key stakeholders like yourself, can do to suppress the activity, if not completely kill it?
Like GS has, like GS has pointed out, there's legal betting and illegal betting. Most of the match fixing is actually attributable to illegal betting. Okay. We've been lucky in Zambia. I think the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Drug Enforcement Commission got involved early on when there were allegations of match fixing. I think they got on the bandwagon to try and stem the vice. So I may not say we've completely done away with it, but I think we are at a safe space because the law enforcement agencies have taken interest in trying to nip the bud, okay? In trying to nip the vice in the bud. And it also helps that the Zambian police service is heavily involved in the management of football through the running of some football clubs and seconding their senior-most officers to administrative roles in the Zambian football setup. So that in my home country has, I think, has helped a lot.
Do you think that could be a good model for other African countries whereby, one, it sounds like it's a criminal, because GS talked about the civil standard of proof, but I don't know how many African countries where match fixing is actually a criminal activity. So are you confirming that it is a criminal activity in Zambia?
It is both criminal and
civil. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I'm always careful in trying to have a one-size-fits-all kind of solution to problems. So I wouldn't advocate that everybody adopts our model. I think it's worth interrogating. It is worth interrogating. It is working for us.
Exactly.
And if GS would want to implement that, I think he's got a case study in Zambia to come and
fantastic. So we should be planning,
exactly.
country study tours.
Yeah.
Yacine, I want to come to you now because you are in the business of sports technology, data analytics. We've talked extensively about how if you're not tracking your data, then you're not really serious about the business. I don't know how much involvement you have in blockchain technology, because the truth is we really need to be thinking ahead, okay? So yes, you've got your platform, which is great, but does blockchain come into it at all in terms of monitoring, scrutinizing, and catching these instances of match fixing? So is that the sort of thing you would say you recommend to an FA? Oh, you really need to think about stepping up the way you monitor. You need to think about blockchain. So I don't know if that's something you can talk on.
Yeah, I don't know if it goes to the deepest level of blockchain, but this is exactly what we do as a company. As I said before, either we do it at the beginning of the season, and this is something to avoid cases in the future, integrity workshops, monitoring of the competition with sporting data and betting data, or in the case of suspicion, federations, organization can come to us and we need to investigate on these kind of cases. And then we take the data and the information that we got from various sectors and we can come back with a solution. My aim is to especially with the African market, which is growing in this at the moment, we are avoiding cases that are happening in Europe, in Asia, where it's super advanced, this kind of match fixing. So instead of waiting to investigate on cases and then devaluate the league, because imagine if you have a big case of match fixing in Zambia or in Ghana, it will directly affect the league, because scouting from outside will say that, of course, it's manipulated, so we won't come and find players. Sponsors will see the bad reputation of the league and they will lower the money on stop sponsoring. Same as TV rights. If they say that we know the winner before the beginning of the season, why should we invest money in broadcasting? So if we come and say like, leagues usually brings more money when they come to see the sponsors and they say, we have an integrity partner. Having an integrity partner means that things will be done with integrity workshops, as I said, monitoring during the season. And if they come and say, we have Startspur from Opta as integrity partner, they can go to see the betting partners, for example, that at the moment are putting a lot of money on naming the league or putting money on the sponsorship. Instead of getting this amount, they can double it, or they can have 50% more just because they know that the league is clean. So this is something like, it's an investment, as we said before. Investing in sport at the moment is not costing, it's an investment. So that's basically what we do. And the good thing is, as I said, Africa is at the beginning of this. So I hope that a lot of leagues will come to us and say, we want to anticipate the mistake, anticipate the risk, and work with you together at the beginning and avoid all this crisis, let's say, rather than after, when it's done, we can still help, but it will have some damages, let's say.
Thank you for that. I just want to come back to you, Frisco, on what ways, what practical measures. So you've talked about the commission, the police are quite involved. Now, from the players to the league, even the public, what kind of measures do you have in place? Not putting you on the spot, but I mean, you could, look, it's a transparent audience, we're in a safe space, we're all here to learn at the end of the day. What measures do you currently have in place to help with match fixing? Say whistleblowing, you might have a whistleblowing hotline or something. Or if not, what do you recommend we should all be looking towards just to really, again, address this match fixing issue?
Okay, so interestingly, in Zambia, we take whistleblowing very seriously, both at national level and I think it's cascaded down to pretty much every sector, sport included. And another very important thing is I think we do a lot of consultative, we hold a lot of consultative meetings and stakeholder engagements to try and educate each other. It's not just about match fixing, it's about every aspect of the league. You know, you'll be interested to note that sometimes an official may be involved in manipulating a match unwittingly. Okay? Because if I come to GS and say, hey, the Kotoko match, could you put Yacine to officiate? I would already have had an engagement. He is doing me a favor as a friend, and he does not know what other side arrangements I would have. That's why I think we've also taken a step to strengthen our governance structures. Decisions like that are not left to Frisco alone. There has to be a committee that sits to allocate those matches, and that actually speaks to. I think it gives a confidence in those decisions, and it makes them less likely to be manipulated. Okay, so I think one other aspect that two aspects that should be considered is engagement with stakeholders, players, officials, administrators, share knowledge about vices that are affecting the game. Okay. Another one is strengthening our governance processes. that would help to stem the vice.
Thank you. And just out of interest, do you, well, in the league, because the league would have some standardized contracts per se, maybe in your league, I'm not sure. But would it be a thing to get the players to sign off, like what Yacine said about I think it's in tennis or so, they have to sign. So is that something we should encourage? Players, footballers, athletes should actually sign a sort of declaration, as it were, that they will not participate in unethical practices. I mean, by the time you've signed it, signed it off, if you're caught, then you're technically in contravention of your contract. I don't know what you think.
I don't see any reason why I should invest resources into educating stakeholders if we're not going to hold each other accountable. Okay? I think one thing that has we've just implemented with the Zambian Premier League is just that. You sign a declaration. There's a declaration to stay away from such vices, and it's gone down to actually not just manipulation of matches, even substance abuse. Okay? So we're trying to say, hey, if we professionalize our league, then we can have it more commercial than it has been. And it is all, the benefit goes back to the same players and the same clubs and the same stakeholders. So it wouldn't make sense for me to spend X amount of money to have these workshops and leave it at that, just tick in a box. We conducted a workshop on match fixing. We conducted a workshop on doping, on substance abuse. Now I think we have to go a little bit more beyond that and hold each other accountable so that we clean up the league.
Thank you. I wanted to find out if there's any questions in the audience, just to make it more interactive. Got 5 minutes. Yeah, we've got 5 minutes. Any questions from the audience? This is your chance. They are here now. Do you want to know more about data analytics? Your GS is here. Ask him any question you want. The Zambia League is here. Okay, in the absence of questions, we have one question. Thank you to the gentleman in the white shirt. I feel I'm at the bookies. To the gentleman in the white. Does he need a microphone?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. So when you stand up, please introduce yourself, state your name, the organization you represent, and direct who your question is to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mohamed Abdul Malik, editor for Africa News 360. I would want to ask the General Secretary, because I think I've been also arguing over this thing. With all that he has said, do we take into consideration perception? Because in Ghana here, what we have here more is about perception. Before a match is played, people who do not even bet are able to perceive a particular club is going to play soft for another. And it has grown to a point that I needed to use EPL to give an example. When Tottenham lost to City, we didn't have any evidence of match fixing. But what Tottenham fans said, in a way to mock Arsenal fans, gave us the reason to believe there is also match fixing elsewhere. Right. So I don't know if in Ghana, being a lawyer, do we take into consideration perception, which has nothing to do evidently about match
all right.
fixing?
So we'll take the questions together, then we can do the answers. We'll just take 3 questions. So that's question 1, that's question 2. I saw the third hand up here. So just 3 questions because of time. So please get the mic to the gentleman there for me. And that question was to the General Secretary of the GFA. Perception. Yeah. So we'll take the 3 questions, then we'll answers will flow.
All right, thank you.
And the questions should be brief, please. 1 question straight to the point.
Yeah, my name is Godwin from Addo City Football Club. Frisco said something about when authorities were supposed to be in charge of picking up referees to go and officiate games. Maybe a club owner or a club representative comes to the official and tells him, okay, I want you to allow this person come and officiate this match for us. You don't know what other conversation he had with the match official or the referee. So what is the FA doing about things like that, so that they make sure that it is grounded and firm that picking referees to officiate matches, it is firm, and then it is something that no clubs are involved in it.
No external influences?
Yes.
All right, great. So that's the last question. Please, can you send the mic there? I'm sorry, just 3, sorry, please. Like I said, the conversation goes on and on and on. They will be here, so you can have them 1v1. Maybe they will even have more time to answer those questions than they would do on the platform. So,
good afternoon. My name is Shogu. I'm the brain behind Freestyle Sports Nigeria. I want to ask, there's ECA in Europe. I want to know if there's a forum for all the chairmen or president of clubs or federations in Africa. And also, I want to ask, because I came up with a proposal on creating the monitoring and compliance unit for the Nigerian League, so that we can be able to monitor the activities of all the stakeholders in football and in all our league centers. I want to know, what are you doing to address the problem? Because the main actor who are the stakeholders are receiving less amount of money as wages and salaries, while the stakeholders are living big beyond the guys who are really the actors, who are the footballers. I think what is really creating the problem is the salary structure and high level of poverty of athletes. What are you doing to address the problem so that we can cope match fixing?
okay. So those are the 3 questions. First question was about perception. If it's the mindset of the people, and maybe not, maybe the fact that people are not really betting, but it's just a perception issue.
Yeah, in all the trainings we do, the integrity workshop we hold each year for the participants of the game, the players, the referees, the match commissioners, and the rest, this comes up. Football is people's game, and so people will discuss, people will talk. So a referee is appointed, and then people will come up with all sorts of reasons why the referee shouldn't handle the match. Some very flimsy. A case in point I like to share is 2 BA clubs, Bronga-Afo region. 2 clubs from Bronga-Afo are going to play a match. You appoint a referee from Bronga-Afo, and both of them are complaining. Meanwhile, same clubs will come and say you are not promoting referees from the region. So then I ask them, when you call me, I ask you, are you saying that the referee is not good, or that you feel it will not be good for this particular match? And say, oh, we know he went to school with the CEO of the other team. They were in the same secondary school. So I said that mere notion that they went to school means that he will go and favor him. So that's a clear perception. So he knows the referee is good, but he has other extraneous issues that he is dealing with. People even cast aspiration on people who go to the same church, people who are from the same tribe, people who are from the same region. So the referees committee who appoints these match officials are always careful. But we've managed largely to dispel some of these perceptions. So you can see a match between Accra, Suffolk, and Accra Great Olympics being handled by a referee from Greater Accra. There was a time in our league where if you are playing a team, so let's go back to yesterday. The referee came from Ashanti region. We didn't hear anything about the region, which was good for me. So you can talk about the competence of the referee on the day or the way the match was handled. But to veer into speculation of the person is from Volta region and to Volta club, we are all human beings. Is it automatic that if I'm a gang, then I go around helping gangs. Is it? Never. So, and sometimes it's a past history. The example you cited, for Arsenal fans, they always mock Tottenham Hotspur fans, and they will do likewise. And so they will say all sort of things just to make their point and be funny and to make jokes of the other side. It doesn't mean that it is a fact that a club will organize and then say that all players go out there and ensure that we lose this match. And so some of them are just mere speculations. And the worry for an association is when people project their opinions as facts. So somebody comes on radio and say, let me give you an example. Somebody went on radio and said that he had seen the referee come in the opponent's bus from one region to Tamale. So the Tamale team supporter is saying this. And people are believing. Meanwhile, guess what? The referee took an aeroplane from Accra to Tamale. So I had to send...
Unless the team has a private jet that transports its players.
So it wasn't true that... But how can a referee sit in the opponent's bus, alight in Tamale, in front of everybody? It's not possible. Some of the speculations and allegations are so absurd that... But strangely, when it's football, emotions are at play, people forget about objectivity or reality. And people believed this until they saw the flight ticket. Even club officials believed this supporter. And they were making all sort of... The downside of it is that then people go ahead and misbehave or misconduct themselves.
Yeah.
When it comes to predicting scoreline, sometimes people are just predicted. They know boogie clubs. There are clubs, for some reason, they are difficult to beat by another club. So a club can be beating everybody, but when it comes to that particular club, it's always difficult. And you can see the trend over the years. Somebody goes out there to predict, and then people project it as, oh, then something has gone wrong, and somewhere somebody has seen somebody, and so the scoreline. Sometimes people can predict scoreline. We are spiritual beings, and so sometimes people see things happening before they happen. I can cite myself as an example. There are people, when they are sick, I don't go to the hospital to visit them, because I have this heavy burden on my heart that when I go, I only go and meet their corpse. When I get that dream, should I go?
No.
And I can tell you, if you force me and we go, we'll go and meet the person dead. Does it mean that I've manipulated the death of the person? No. And so there are people who say they are soothsayers. Right. They can see the scoreline. I don't doubt them. I don't worry about them. All I want is the game to be played fairly. And the burden is on all of us, including the supporters. That burden is on all of us. Sometimes it's funny, you hear club officials saying, and the GFA. You are the GFA. You, the club official, you are the GFA.
And they are here, so.
And don't spread fake news.
All right, I think Yacine wanted to chip in something in there.
No, exactly. One of the worst thing is that when you're a federation or league and you're doing a good job, you know that you don't have people doing corruption, you don't have people trying to cheat on results, on anything, but the rumors coming from clubs, from people that you just beat at the election and stuff like that, they can have some access to the media, and then people are talking around you about trying to reduce the good work that you've done just with some false rumors. It's very difficult to take it, because at the end of the day, if you want to work for the good of the football of the country and then someone is trying to destroy this, it's difficult. Yeah. The worst thing is when you don't have anything to prove them in exchange. The worst thing is to prove that you're innocent, usually. Yeah. And in those cases, like match fixing, manipulation, any other bad aspects of the game is that until 100% of the matches are broadcasted on live TV, live or not, but you have the proof, and when 100% of the matches have registration through a CMS, data collected live during the match and broadcasted, you cannot have all the proof to say that this player did something or exactly.
Right.
As soon as you have data, broadcast, and registration, everything becomes transparent.
Right.
And every time someone goes to see Prosper and say, you cheat on this or maybe something happened, you have the proof to show them, and the federation take like another role now. They stand up and they have like this kind of
the evidence to back their claim that nothing is really
exactly
happening wrong.
and it's changed everything.
Let's then chip into the second question. I think it also feeds back to the General Secretary here. The question about trying to influence referees, so where the referees are going to come from to officiate specific games. How do you build a robust system that repels that?
So our regulation is using the FIFA regulation. So the referees committee are made up of people appointed by the ESCO, and they are supposed to act independently. Yes, so it's a committee work. It's not one person. So the committee will sit and look at the matches. First of all, referees go through training. So we are at the point where we've announced already the test and then the written exams they will do, and then we select the Premier League referees, Division 1, the Women's League referees. And in our game, all women's games are done by a woman. And so they will sit down and plan the schedule for the week by week, making sure that the referees are rotated. And that's where I said earlier that we cannot look at people's tribe, people's school, and all those things, stretch it and say that. Because when you do that, very soon you are going to have only about few referees handling matches of a particular team. And you want all the referees to go around. And in Ghana, we have a match review panel. So if you have any concern of any match, you report. What we don't want is somebody taking the pen and writing the whole essay about the referee is bad and cannot point to a particular minute the referee is bad, but then can go on and talk about general things. So we have a form. You state the minute, the incident that happened for you to conclude that was bad officiating. And then we can narrow it down. Because guess what? Even though we want the panel to look at all matches, they cannot. So if we can narrow it down to some areas, then they can look at those areas and take a decision. Now, the complaint procedure is the same for match manipulation and match fixing. We have the integrity hotline. It's on the GFA website. You can send anonymous WhatsApp, you can send email, or you can even call to leave a voice note. And then if you feel that sending it to us will not see the light of the day, we've provided the FIFA one. So there's no compulsion to report to GFA. You report to FIFA. It will be under, because our integrity works with FIFA integrity.
Right.
And so the thing is that for every sport, the integrity of the game is far superior than any particular person of the game. So if FIFA can remove Sepp Blatter, who was the president of the game, to protect the integrity of football, then anybody in football can be removed. So if I have done something wrong, you can send a report against me, and I will be removed to protect the sanctity of the game. The game is far important than any single person or group of people. So let me repeat it. The GFA will not hesitate to remove any club, no matter your history, no matter your level, from the game to protect the game for the rest of the clubs.
Right. All right. I think we've already even exhausted the 5 minutes that we had. But yes, okay. So there's the market. In doing so, I would want you to address the last question, which came with the pay disparity, and he's speaking about the fact that the players don't earn much and how you're going to work around to break that gap, because it's also perhaps a reason why so in trying to add up to that, address that question as well.
Thank you. I think I would want to belabor the point that GS has put across. There's no single, I think after the reforms that football underwent after the removal of Sepp Blatter, there is no single person with the sole power of appointing, for instance, match officials. There is always a committee. I think he was referring to the referees committee. Those are the governance issues that I was referring to. And you must understand that before somebody is called a referee, they undergo a rigorous training process, and they have to keep up a certain level of competence and fitness for them to maintain their qualification. Okay. Then I think coming to the question about addressing the emoluments for players, I think most of the reforms that have come into football, especially on the African scene, are trying to help us professionalize, and when we professionalize, we attract more and better sponsorship that will directly translate into better conditions for the players that are in the league.
Right.
Thank you.
Brilliant. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and let's give it up for the panel.